What the Soul is Not, Aristotle's De Anima, a review and discussion. I recently undertook a comprehensive project, delving into the study of 52 books central to philosophical theology and the Christian understanding of the gospel, the Trinity, and the soul. Among the works I've explored so far, Aristotle's De Anima, or On the Soul, stands out. In my interpretation, the key term used is intellechism, signifying the actualization of potential, akin to where theory meets practice. Notably, this isn't my first encounter with this book. It's been 2 decades since my prior reading, which mainly involved selections and classroom discussions. I must acknowledge my bias. My admiration for Aristotle, his student Alexander the Great, and their philosophical lineage, including Plato and Socrates, has profoundly influenced my personal development. Plato's dialogues, featuring Socrates, were the first works that made me feel connected, understood, and no longer alone. Today we discuss Aristotle's thoughts, a great thinker in his own right, though I've often found his writings dense, verbose, and somewhat dry, yet undeniably significant. His treatises on poetics, ethics, and logic have proven particularly pertinent in my life. Our focus today is on his treatise on the soul and its implications, including its intellechistic aspects. We are all familiar with the dichotomy of the soul, the idea that the soul is synonymous with the mind, but distinct from the brain. It pertains to the self, not the material composing the physical body it inhabits. Surprisingly, this dualistic perspective aligns with a paganistic worldview. In contrast, Aristotle espoused a triune view of the soul, firmly uniting it with the body. This perspective resonated with early Christians and subsequent classical theologians. According to Aristotle, perception, imagination, and desire infuse life with vitality. It's vital to clarify that Aristotle's anima isn't merely the energy animating the body, as described in modern anatomy and physiology books, nor does it directly correlate with the anima and animus in the modern psychological understanding of the psyche. However, intellect is a valuable interpretation of the soul from Aristotle's perspective. Beyond the human realm, animals, plants, and even the world and the universe possesses unique souls. The ideas of a world soul or a universal soul may seem primitive to modern readers, given the current debates on the existence of the soul. However, dismissing this work because it doesn't align with our present discourse would be a mistake. The insights and foundational concepts presented in this work pertaining to psychology, sense perception, and biology are remarkably ahead of their time and forward-thinking. While we may find Aristotle's understanding, statements, and theories simplistic today, someone had to be the first to document these ideas and propose theories that we now accept as facts. Much of the groundwork for future discoveries is laid out in this text. In a twist of poetic irony, this book explores potentiality and actuality, deviating from the conventional narrative surrounding human intellectual progress of Aristotle's time. Aristotle speaks about concepts that remain subjects of contemporary debate and controversy. One limitation of this short work is its broad scope, leaving less time and attention to the topic it discusses. I revisited this book to understand the views on the soul that have inspired Christians throughout history. However, the work ventured into realms more aligned with modern online debates and streaming channels that focus on contentious discussions preoccupying certain social media denizens. Aristotle's On the Soul remains a significant pioneering work that laid the foundation for explorations in psychology, sense perception, and biology. While its ideas may seem outdated, it's vital to acknowledge the intellectual groundwork it established and the progressive thinking it represents. Despite its broad scope and deviation from my initial expectations, this work continues to hold scholarly value and merits its place in the canon of philosophical literature. Regardless, Aristotle's De Anima starts by examining earlier theories of the soul, including the well-known Socratic and Platonic dichotomies, which he promptly dismisses. The discourse begins with general remarks that are more ornate flourish than substantive. However, it's when he discusses the nature of the soul that the text becomes truly intriguing. Aristotle first negates what the soul is not. It's not dead, not stone, not rock. He then questions what the soul could be, initially proposing it as a form akin to Plato's forms. Surprisingly, he rejects this idea, emphasizing the necessity for students to challenge their teachers' concepts for genuine progress to occur. Aristotle's concept of the Triune Soul introduces a psychic hierarchy, laying the groundwork for later medieval and post-Enlightenment Christian presuppositions. This hierarchy parallels our understanding of the id, ego, and superego, shedding light on the intricacies of the human psyche. With this framework established, Aristotle proceeds to examine the aspects of the soul. He asserts that the soul must have neurative capability. That is, it must ensoul a thing that can both grow and decay, and that this living thing must possess the ability to perceive sensory input through at least one of the five senses, those being sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. He then elaborates on the problems and limitations of perception, those being relativity and subjectivity, addressing complexities that remain relevant today. Aristotle's solution to these issues is imagination, a sixth sense, if you will, distinct from a person's identity, serving as a repository for thoughts that are distinct from a person's identity. This being a wild predator's planning its hunt, a beast of prey planning its escape, a pet dreaming of running, a human thinking of possible consequences before taking action. See, for Aristotle, any animal capable of imagination must possess a soul, specifically a higher level soul. The more senses you have, the more perception you're capable of, the higher level of soul you must possess. Although some might be tempted here to draw a connection from this Aristotelian distinction to Christian ideas regarding the soul as that part of us, as individuals, that touches the eternal and thus must survive after death. Aristotle does not venture into such territory in this treatise. Aristotle defines the soul as the point where opposites meet, a tension between the active and passive aspects of the self. Both the senses and the mind serve as connecting points along this line, whether straight or bent. For Aristotle, outliers and exemptions reinforce the rule rather than disprove it. Aristotle concludes his exploration of sense perception and thought by emphasizing motivation and desire as the core elements from which the soul's definition and actuality stem. To avoid the problem of infinite regress, he returns to the division of the soul as the key to resolving the question of survival. Specifically, survival of what? Rather than providing a direct answer, Aristotle moves into a theological discussion. Towards the end of De Anima, his focus shifts toward explaining phenomena in terms of the purposes they serve, rather than the material world's causes of those phenomena. This emphasis on design and purpose supersedes his initial question of what is the soul, leaving it unanswered as the book abruptly ends. While Aristotle's De Anima may not provide definitive answers about the nature of the soul, it does offer a strong foundational understanding by defining what the subject does not encompass, giving us a border or framework by which to examine the question. It's a valuable read for those seeking a deeper understanding of the subject, though it may not satisfy those seeking religious or theological answers about the soul. Peace.